All right, so you can start us off, Chuck.
Yeah, so I think the first big thing that happens in this section is that we find out that Charlie Carver, not like guaranteed it's just Mr. Miller that said it, but Aiden kind of finds that Charlie Carver basically had no way to be able to kill Thomas.
Yeah,
So I think that's a pretty big indicting thing. That's what's
yeah.
tying two events together.
For me, like finding that out from Mr. Stanwin, to me, I obviously right now we know Carver's innocent from what we can see, and it looks like the death is on Evelyn's mom, right? Because she had I think it said she had a knife in her hand, but I know she was weeping with the body.
I
So
think so. I don't think we
no,
know for sure yet, but
but for
we're
me,
pretty sure that not Carver and
yeah.
yeah.
I think the mom's innocent from right now, from the evidence we have. Because earlier I can't remember who said this, but someone mentioned like her love for all her children. So to
It was
me, like
Mr. Hart.
yeah, and like I don't know, it just nothing's like pointing in her direction really, besides the fact she was on the body. And if she just killed him, why would she be weeping? I mean,
Mhm.
obviously it could be a cover up, which is it's like Mr. Stanwin says. But to me, I still think she's innocent, honestly. I think there might be
Yeah,
like a third person involved.
I think it's really touchy because in this book, there's a whole big theme of trust. Like he doesn't know who to trust, and so
Mhm.
even when people are saying that I still don't think we necessarily know that Charlie Carver didn't do it, even though I
Yeah.
feel like the author wouldn't just put that in there if he didn't. Like I'm pretty sure he didn't.
And you know
But
what? Just going off of what you said on trust, I think we should talk about what's his name, Daniel, because that was a big moment when they found when what's his name, Aiden found Daniel talking to the footsman in the woods, and then
mhm.
even then going off and talking to the plague doctor, and he said the
Yeah,
plague doctor like put his arm on him, which he had never done for Aiden. So that really threw me for a loop in this section,
yeah,
because
that's what makes you kind of think that they're like with the plague doctor with Aiden is always
yeah,
very far away from a distance, like a shadowy figure. It's like if you up there touching, it's like you're kind of
yeah,
consorting with them.
that
And
made
the
me
other
like
with
stop
Daniel,
trusting the plague doctor, honestly, because before this I sort of like I was starting to trust the plague doctor, where he'd been helping out Aiden so much and saying how he thought
yeah,
he was going to be the one to do it. But
I
to
was
me,
weird. Even Anna was saying, he clearly wants you, and you come and help
yeah,
him. He was rearranging the order of the host specifically for him.
hmm,
But I think now, and also the thing with he knows that the host after this is his second to last host with Jim Rashton, right? So
yeah. I don't know. I think
uh,
is Jim
no, it's just
Rashton, and then he has either two or one more.
no,
It's
just
either
one.
one. It's
'Cause it's eight, and so he knows that
no, he has three
Daniel.
more because he's been through five right now. So then, no, I mean four right now. The butler, um, the guy he drove off with, Davies, and then the one he started with, the doctor, and then Ravencourt, and now he was Dance, and then Rashton. So he has two more.
No, and then Derby.
Oh, so
That's
Derby.
his.
Okay, so he has one
He's got
more.
one.
So I
And so
think,
that's how you know that
yeah, I don't
if you
think
look
it's
at it,
Daniel because Daniel
he's
hasn't
saying
been.
that Danny is lying because it's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is Gregory Gold came up to him and was going crazy and warning him.
Mhm.
So he's torn on who to trust now because he's maybe Gregory Gold is my final host,
I
but this
think,
whole time Daniel has been saying that he's the final host,
yeah, but
and so
like,
Daniel talking to the footman maybe Daniel's not the final host and it's a trap.
yeah, for me though, I never trusted Daniel really because he said he was like a competitor or something, but Daniel never switched bodies, which I'm not sure why Bishop never like caught on to that sooner. Like that should have
But
been an obvious red flag if he was the last
Anna never
host.
switched bodies though.
Yeah, but okay, Daniel said he was the last host,
Yeah,
right? So he'd have to
yeah,
switch too. So that's why I was like,
yeah.
I was always
That means
confused with that.
yeah, totally. Because Daniel would imply that he's actually switching hosts, where Anna was straightforward and says I'm not a host,
Yeah,
and Daniel trying to say that
and it
he
was
was.
yeah.
Why would he be consistent?
Well,
But and there's three players, and he
yeah, I'm
I don't know.
confused about that. I'm thinking there's Anna, obviously, Bishop, and then you have Daniel. So I think those are
Yeah.
three. But I feel like the Footman and the Plague Doctor and Daniel might be like tied together. So there might be a
Yeah.
third player besides those two that like we just haven't heard about so far. That could be like a twist coming up.
Maybe. Yeah, like the Footman is the most obviously like bad one, but I think
Yeah.
like and then Daniel I think is second, like where you can see that he's talking to the foot doctor. I think there's still reason to trust the plague doctor, the Footman, I mean. There's still reason to trust the plague
Plague
doctor.
Doctor.
Like we saw
Maybe.
him touch Daniel, which is pretty indicting,
Yeah.
but he just helped him so much. I'm still like I don't trust him, but like I still think there's a chance that he's good.
Hmm.
But even
No.
Anna now, he saw
Yeah.
like Anna like kill two of his hosts or whatever,
Hmm.
and like he said like in the last loop he killed Anna. Anna claims that he killed her in the last
But
loop.
he said he felt like remembering it too. So I think that
Yeah, that's
happened.
probably true, but like it's still kind of like with all this trust stuff, it's like almost you
You
don't
don't
know
know
if you can
who.
really trust
Yeah.
Anna, even though she seems like his closest friend.
I want to ask about like Blackheath. Like I want to say this. I think Blackheath. The thing I've noticed about everyone there, every single person there really has like something like evil about them. Like even
Yeah,
the first one, Sebastian, right? He was thinking about how like nice he was and this timid guy, but then he figures out he sells drugs and Bishop suddenly hates him. So I think everyone there, there's something like bad about them. That's why they're all there. I think it's something supernatural. And
it's
like
something to do with Blackheath, right?
yeah, like I think like Blackheath, whatever is like bad about them, they're sent to Blackheath because of that. That's what my
Yeah.
thing is. Because that's
Like I
the
think they've
one
made it clear
connection.
that it's not like supposed to be hell or anything, but it's just
Yeah.
like it wouldn't
Some
make sense like if the plague doctor, the footman, the
yeah.
three competitors are all there in this loop. Wouldn't that mean that
It's
like everybody else is also stuck in this loop?
yeah, it's something supernatural. Like they might not know what's going on, but like I feel like the evil, like something bad inside them is what's tying them together and bringing them there. Or maybe I don't know if
One,
it's like a punishment for these people or what, but I feel like
one theory
that's the
I had
connection.
on that was the thing with the hosts, like how Daniel claims he's like the last host. Like I wonder if there's been multiple occasions. The one was when he was Ravencourt. He looked into this guy's eyes and was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I know like who this guy is, and like I can tell that he's got like he's vain or whatever, and just like this guy that we haven't heard about since then. So
I
like I
think he could.
wonder if
I think
a
he could.
bunch of
I think they can like feel the other hosts inside them. You know,
yeah,
like
so he's like looking at this guy who he doesn't know, and he like feels his emotions. So
it's
like I
like
feel like he
yeah,
might
it's in his head. I'm
in
thinking
like the past like loops, he's
yeah,
like maybe inhabited every guest at Blackheath at some point.
and even that could be going along with what I was saying. Where like he has to like if this was like I don't know. Let's say this is a punishment for Bishop, right? Maybe he's like learning a lesson through the hosts or something
Yeah.
along those lines. That could go along with it.
Yeah, the plague doctor claims that Bishop went there voluntarily, but we don't know if we can trust that even.
Yeah. What do
So
you
do you want
think?
to move into some predictions on who you think the killer is?
See, for me, I'm still like, it could be anyone for me right now. I have no clue, honestly. Because what are
Yeah, I
we?
think
Yeah,
like
we're about.
I think that it's going to end up being the Lady Hardcastle. I think that's like a little bit too obvious. Helena
Yeah, it's
Hardcastle.
I think it's not her. Because okay, if it was her, the story would be over right now, right? What's his
I
name?
know it's like it's just too like
Yeah,
on the
like
nose.
Rashton just figured that out from Stanwin. Story's over. But like,
Okay, the one person I think is like subtly like a little bit suspicious though is the Dr. Dickies,
yeah,
because like he's like was willing to help. He had that weird thing with Derby, like he had his own suspicions, and like the thing where he had the gun that she shoots herself with, that kind of like didn't play out. But there was this one part where he was the butler
yeah,
and he was trying to like lie and say that he was fine, and he's like he was getting ready to give him the serum, and he's like, "No, I'm fine," because he wanted to stay as the butler and like investigate more. And Dr. Dickey was like, "That's exactly what I was worried about," and then injects him, and then he like said some creepy stuff at the very beginning. Like I can't really remember what it was. I think like he's like they kind of not made that much of a point about him, but they've included some really like damning stuff in there along the way.
yeah. For me, I think the doctor, what's like weird about him is all these people, right? Like obviously there's going to be servants and like the stable masters, but why would there be need for like a doctor to come out here? How many guests do you think there are? Like 40, 50 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even with that, right? It's just a party at a house in the woods. How come there's a doctor there and the same doctor comes on that night? That's
Yeah,
what's
and
kind
there's
of weird for me. Yeah, I mean, I guess he is a friend of Lady Hardcastle, but she was the one holding the body, so that could be even more damning for him.
yeah, and Aiden like suspects that he might have been like coinciding with Belle to sell drugs.
Yeah, well, not really suspect. He caught him like that, remember? Because he blackmailed him.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for that info. So we know the doctor is obviously bad from that, like you were saying. Let's see. Let's talk about Jim Rashton. For me, I think Jim Rashton so far has been the best host for Alden or Aiden because
Yeah.
beside I think Ravencourt was good because of his mind, but his body
Mhm.
was so like fat, he couldn't do
He just
anything.
couldn't like move.
And then Dance, he was good in the mind, insanely good, right? Because he was a lawyer, but he was
Yeah.
70 years old, so like he'd get tired, he couldn't do anything, and then Dance wouldn't like let him eat or drink, so it was just like
Yeah.
pain for him. But then I
I
think,
thought Davies and Bell were pretty good, but he kind of
yeah,
wasted
he
those.
wasted Davies big time, and Bell. I mean, you can't really blame him for that. It's the
Yeah.
first like day, but what's his name? Rashton though. I think I'm hoping he like I feel like he used him so well, like he used his power, his like strength since he's a young cop, to attack the footman, which didn't go well, but like I mean you can't blame him for that. And he used his investigational prowess, to go after Stanwin. He looked all through like the reflecting pool in the pond. You could tell things were starting to click finally with Rashton.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this book so far has been like I feel like it really like depicts what a normal person would be like if they tried to like solve a murder because like whoever Aiden is, like he's clearly not like an experienced like detective or anything.
Hmm.
And so like this whole like book, like throughout it, he's like kind of like, he's not going about it like a detective would. He's more so just kind of like trying to piece it all together on his own. And it's like really struggling for him. And he's like slowly getting it. And so
Yeah,
then when you see him as Rashton, he's got this like the mind of an investigator, and so he
yeah.
kind of like shifts from like a normal person, like how like me or you would like go about solving a murder, to
See,
having more of these like actual techniques and stuff.
for me, I was thinking maybe like this whole thing was like a trick question, like who's the killer of Evelyn Hardcastle? At one point, I was thinking, why doesn't he just kill her himself and then turn
Yeah, I know.
his name in, like, or just I would be trying
They
like
said
the
that
weirdest stuff to get out, He's just like
they said
trying to
that so
solve the
much. Like,
murder.
they're like, why don't I kill her? And
Yeah,
and then, like Anna's like, if only it were that easy. And like, you haven't tried it. Like, how about you try it?
yeah. I mean, clearly, like Daniel, he killed Stanwin just to help solve it.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're like everyone there is ruthless, right? It wouldn't have been too much
Yeah.
of a shock.
And like I'm sure Evelyn has her own baggage too. Like if everybody at Blackheath is bad, I
Yeah,
feel
and
like
she
Evelyn.
already she already knows she's gonna be killed anyway, because
Yeah.
remember she said that to him when she found him.
That's another
Yeah,
weird
that's
thing. It's like
confusing for me. Is she? I feel like
Evelyn also has to be one of the people who's like kind of trapped in
yeah,
there.
she might.
She
Yeah, she
knows.
might be like Daniel or Anna, because if she knows she's gonna be killed and still does it, at that point, it's not really a choice anymore. It's more like destiny or fate at that point.
But I think like the bigger mystery now, like I mean, obviously who did it is gonna be like interesting. Like I'm excited to figure that out. But also like just what like I'm really just want to finish this so I can figure out what is going on, period. Like
Yeah, like I was talking about, like I feel like I'm onto something with like all the connection I can really make between the characters is them all being bad. I mean,
yeah,
obviously most of them are rich, right? But that's just because like it's the upper class. There's a few poor
yeah.
people like Rashton. I mean, Derby still has money, but it's really just like money and like there's always like a something bad with these people that connects them really. But I feel like
I think they're definitely going to tie in the death of Thomas, like the from like 30 years ago or whatever.
yeah, we're starting to get more connections between all the people.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
But it was
that
like
I think
I
that
think that's about
wraps
all I
this
have.
up. Yeah. All right. Let's